So this is a biography up through 1955. And as I've said several times, that was the November 55 was the Mirabad Sahabas that Baba held, where 4 language groups, Indian language groups, were invited for 1 week each. Francis and Don Stevens were the Westerners who were also allowed to attend. And Baba gave to Don the order to edit and write the book Bliss and Humanity. And Francis got the order to write Stavad. So that's the point that the whole book is based on. His biography goes up through that. And that was a significant time in Baba's advent because Baba had completed the new life and the Mananash phase in 1952. And in 1954 declared himself to be the avatar of the age. So Francis is presenting Meher Baba as such, as the avatar of the age. And we've talked a good bit about that in Book 1. It's an epic presentation of the avatar, and it very self-consciously puts itself, that is, the book does, into the context of the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Iliad, the Odyssey. I mean, he's very deliberately presenting Stay with God as a version of that. To do something on this order, you do need a bit of chutzpah. But he appears to me to have succeeded. So then in the next book, he's presenting another aspect of Meher Baba, the personal aspect. That is, Meher Baba presented himself to his followers more than any other way as the beloved of lovers, right? The lover-beloved idea, paradigm, is central to Meher Baba's self-presentation and quote-unquote teachings to his actual lovers. So in Book 2, Francis is presenting Baba as such, and he has this John Carey, who is actually him, but he presents himself in the third person through this token within the narrative of the poem itself, who then sings this love song to Meher Baba, very moving and very beautiful. In Book 3, as we were looking at yesterday morning, goes to the opposite extreme, the formless, the impersonal, the universal God, the creator, sustainer, dissolver of the universe, and the soul that does the entire journey to God. Okay? So you get the concept of how he's presenting Baba. Baba, the occurrence of reality and illusion, the actual man, the beloved and impersonal God. Okay, this, between Book 3 and Book 4, is the big turn in Stay with God. And now, his actual order from Baba was not to say, praise Meher Baba, or explain who Meher Baba was. It was, stay with him. So, Book 4 is how you get to his feet in the first place. Thus, the steps to his feet, how you reach the threshold of, and Francis puts it here as the perfect master, abandoning illusion for reality. So now every stanza in this book, they're all called books, right? Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, Book 4, Book 5. Every stanza ends with the phrase, the perfect master. And it's a very short stanza now, just 5 lines long. Book 3 had longer stanzas. You guys probably, if you're not a literary scholar, you might not pay attention to these things, but they actually make a great deal of difference when you're reading it. The rhythm and the movement is greatly affected by things like the length of a stanza. So this is the shortest stanza in the entire poem. Let me pull this up. Yeah. Where did I put it? Yeah, here we go. I've shown this before. It may seem a bit complicated if you haven't seen it before, but Francis gave great attention to the architecture of the entire poem and the number of sections and the number of parts in each book. and the number of lines in each, a number of stanzas in each section, and the number of lines in each stanza. He's really worked it out in great detail. So in Book 3, which we looked at yesterday morning, there are 4 sections plus 1, a coda. Do you know what a coda is?
It's the tail.
A tale, yes, literally the tale. So at the end of it's a musical term. At the end of a composition, there's a little bit that ends it, and that sort of recapitulates in brief some of the musical themes that have been presented until then. Well, Francis uses codas in all 5 books. In fact, Book 5 ends with 5 stanza coda. It's a very developed coda. So Book 3 has a 1 stanza coda, and all the other 4 sections have 10 stanzas each. So you see how it adds up to 40 plus 1 is the number of stanzas. Well, Book 4 also has 40 stanzas plus 1. It's all in 1 section, though, and they're very short stanzas, and it's like the effect of these short stanzas, every one ending on perfect master, like pung, 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 perfect master, perfect master. It really hits home. It's like, if you want,
It's like staccato.
It is. Yeah, it's like, if you want God, you got to find the perfect master, you know? It's sort of, Francis was not shy about
Say that again.
about his themes, you know. He was not afraid, to say, actually the very title, Stay with God, in modern art, a title like that is heresy, for heaven's sake. To mention God at all is bad enough. To mention God with approval is even worse. And to have an imperative verb, stay with God, as your title. But Francis was quite, if Baba said it, he was, not afraid at all. So this is sort of, you have to find your way to the perfect master. And he has a particular audience. The whole book is really addressed to all humanity. I think he was well aware of posterity and all civilization and centuries to come. He was really speaking to that. But this particular book has a particular focus in terms of who it addresses. It is addressing real seekers of God. If you're real, so this is actually in the Francis had been a Sufi sheikh. In fact, he got that role from the Baron. After the Baron died, he was designated as such. And Baba actually said that he would be the Murshid of Australia. Ibidus, the Murshid of America. And Francis just let that go. I think after finding Baba, he was the purpose of Sufism for him had been served. But there's a lot of that voice in him at this stage. He's really giving, it's real tough, the real tough love, you might say. If you want to find the perfect master, you've got to be serious about it, and no bullshit. I think Francis's Steiner would know better. His tolerance for bullshit, anyway, was exceedingly low.
Very, very low.
And in this book, it is non-existent.
Yeah, he was an absolute martinet when he gave all those first lectures after having met Baba in 52 and came back. And he was very particular about who came to his meetings.
Yeah.
But if one of them should ask what he thought was a stupid question, he'd say, "You want the answer to that? Go down the street to the Theosophical Society."
Yeah.
It's a wonder he even let me in as a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I guess I was my mother's daughter, so I was allowed.
Yeah. So here that's the tone of this. It's actually, like I say, I don't want to get the impression it's nasty. It's not. It's just completely honest about finding the way to the feet of the perfect master. And that's the way to God. And this is how it is, So it's actually, I actually love that. It's wonderful. I also, in these different books, one of the themes I've been bringing up is genre, literary genre. I would consider the entire book, the entire poem, Stay with God, I would put it into the category of epic. a kind of a modern epic. He definitely places the poem there in the opening lines and in many other places. As to what book 4 would be, I have a little bit of a hard time categorizing it that way. Maybe I was a scholar of like medieval and ancient literature, so maybe some modern literary scholar would do better on this. But one thing that it reminds me of a little bit is what's called wisdom literature. And I'm going to flash a little bit of that up here. Here's a very famous case of wisdom literature. Ecclesiastes, I don't know how many of you are... I never got any kind of religious education at all when I was a kid. Even I knew about this. This is attributed to Solomon. Words of the teacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the teacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Vanity means like futility or emptiness. This is actually quite wonderful. When I read it preparing for this last year, I was thinking, wow. What do people gain from all the toil which they toil under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hurries to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes round to the north. Round and round goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they continue to flow. In other words, everything remains the same on this earth of ours. All things are wearisome, more than one can express. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, or the ear with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. There is nothing new under the sun. Have you ever heard that line? Mm-hmm. This is where it comes from. There's nothing new under the sun.
You mean Shakespeare didn't come up with that one?
Well, he echoed Ecclesiastes at certain places. Is there a thing of which it is said, see, this is new? It has already been in the ages before us. The people of long ago are not remembered, nor will there be any remembrance of the people yet to come by those who come after them. I mean, it's kind of ageless wisdom. It's very pessimistic sort of view that he's giving. But this is an example of wisdom literature. This is by this Solomon, the most splendid king of ancient Israel. Wealthy, and living great resplendence, but this is the worldview that it gives expression to. So what Francis is doing reminds me of this a bit. But this is addressed kind of to the general public. But Francis is speaking in a very specific way to seekers of God, lovers of God. I was also thinking about the relation between this book, The Steps to His Feet. I was trying to figure out what affiliations, what category, what genre is this related to. And so I was thinking, is this related to his ghazals? So I reread them. And this is what struck me. The ghazals are different in this way. They were written later. They were written when Francis was living with Baba in the 60s. And the steps to his feet is about how you find your way to the feet of the perfect master or avatar. And the ghazals were written when you're there. He's in the darbar, the court, the intimate circle of the perfect master, and he was providing entertainment, talking about all sorts of topics. So it's almost like he had arrived in the ghazals. So there's that kind of relation. And there's one other poem of Francis's. I know a lot of you may not have read all of these things, but have any of you read The Word at World's End, that book?
Years ago.
There's a poem in it called The Ballad of the Rhyming Knight. And that's about, I wish I had it, and it's really quite fun. But it's kind of this blundering, idealistic knight who's kind of, searching around and making mistakes all over the place. But I remember the last stanza is about the knight. He rides and rhymes and sings his say, the arbored lady. He sings when they shall meet in bed to love and pray. The night is not far from the way. He's talking about somebody who's got the instincts, the impulse for searching for higher things and is making mistakes all over the place, but is getting close. So the steps to his feet is a bit like that, but now this is guidance for such people. This is how you get there. Now we're just gonna look at little snippets from it. Let's see if there's any other contextual things. Yeah. So once again, feel free to speak up and chime in, ask questions, or as we go. Don't hold back. This is for you.
Who did the drawing?
These were done by John Perry. I actually showed a picture of him, and I might later on. He happened to be in a picture of the Kailash temple. I think he's in India right at this moment.
Wasn't he Francis's friend?
Yeah, he knew Francis. Yeah, he was living in New Zealand, but would come over quite often and visit him. So you can see. I'll read a couple stanzas where you can see perfect master, perfect. It's like, in a way, it reminds me of the last couplet of a ghazal, which will have Hafez, or the name of the poet in it. Except this is every stanza. So must be prepared the ground for the sowing, for the entering of the seed of light in one's earth. The seed of man is the gathered light of form. The seed of light is the grace of the perfect master. The first is coupled with death. The second is the cause of immortality. Following the moon path is rebirth. Following the track of the sun, the wheel of birth is broken. Man is reborn in the deathless, never to return except as the perfect master. Worshipping the gods of thy God, the gods of gadgets and guns, one is born again where the burden may be reassumed, where the fright and the frustration may again be enjoyed. Worshipping with surrenderance and love, the name and form of God, to God one comes when it is the whim of the perfect master. So it's like that. You see these 5, by the way, 5-line stanzas. Does that anything pop to mind about the number 5?
5 perfect masters.
Yeah, 5 perfect masters. Yeah.
5 perfect masters.
Yeah. And in the last, well, Shakespeare, his plays all had 5 acts. Yeah, as a matter of fact. But in the previous book, in fact, I'm going to pull it up again because we looked at it last time, but part of what the last stanza was a direct anticipation of this. That was comprised of 10-line stanzas. So here they are. And what I wanted sorry, I think I'm in the wrong one here. Is this the wrong one? No, this is right. Okay. This is about the moon path and the sun path, right? And Francis was very explicit at the very end of the previous book, and he's going to pick up at this point now. Takes a stand, at last takes a stand, remember that? Taking your stand in the waters, and rejects the moon path to rebirth, and forms delight and pain, of nights of cool breeze over warm sands, curling, etc., etc., and disastrous days of ambition realized or thwarted. What's the moon path? What does he mean by that?
Worldly desires.
Yes, it's and the highest aspect. It's like the benevolent, merciful, compassionate side of the master, the moon side. He talked about this in book 1, as contrasted with the sun side, which is the glorious, majestic, burning, destructive aspect. So Baba, he said, had the perfect balance of those two. But in this book, in human life, in the moon path means it sustains the delusions. All the romantic illusions you have about life. It keeps them going. It keeps you hoping. that you're going to find fulfillment and satisfaction by pursuing all the dreams of the world. But you have to ultimately reject the moon path. The moon road to lovely form and fear and hope rejects that and takes the sun road, the death road, to immortal self, right? The death of false self. Unborn, undying, abodeless being, knowledge, bliss, who built no houses, only dreamed a dream. Yeah, remember that from yesterday. So he's starting up at that very point again. And this is kind of one of the dominant themes here of Book 4. And he's going to explain this now a lot more. So must be prepared the ground. By the way, what does it mean preparing the ground?
Digging it up, making it open, prepared to receive the seed of knowledge.
And what kind of vocation? Farmer, right. And what was Francis as a kid?
A farmer.
Yeah, he grew up on a farm. And he plowed fields. There's a lot of agricultural metaphors and imagery throughout with God, yeah.
Could it mean that preparing the ground is clearing your heart?
Yeah, so that, and in a metaphor, there's a literal, figure or literal scene, and then there's an inner meaning, or there's a corresponding significance that it wants to convey. So yeah, in other words, he's saying, preparing the ground literally, a farmer would prepare the ground for seeds, but in the spiritual sense, you've got to prepare your heart and mind for, and now he's going to give two kinds of seeds, right? For the sowing, for the entering of the seed of light. This is one kind of seed in one's earth. The seed of man is the gathered light of form. The seed of light is the grace of the perfect master. What on earth does that mean? What is this? The seed of man is the gathered light of form.
It's a reflection?
Yeah. In evolution, yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, when you put the seed in the ground, it's amazing that little seed turns into this magnificent, beautiful plant.
Yeah.
That was the grace that caused it to grow. Anyway, that's just an idea.
Yes. And what happens to the soul in the course of the evolution of consciousness up to human form?
Gathering illusions.
Yes, and gathering sanskaras and gathering consciousness, right? You're becoming more and more conscious and you're gathering impressions. So the gathered light of form is that. You see? I mean, it's an expression you've acquired. You've identified with all these different forms. And you gather the light. You've gathered consciousness. You become awake. You become a human being. So that what kind of consequence will the sowing of that seed produce? Are we talking moon road or sun road?
Moon road.
Moon road. It's going to produce more form, isn't it? If you sow the seed of form, it's going to create more form. That's the one way you can go. The moon road to more form. The seed of light, as opposed to the seed of man, the seed of light is the grace of the perfect master. We have to prepare. You see, he's giving his theme. And this is central to this whole book. We can't actually, on our own, go to the feet of the perfect master, right? Because can we sow the seed of light? We cannot. Who does that?
It's the grace of the perfect master.
The perfect master does it, yeah.
It strikes me we also can't stand in the full light of the sun.
Yes.
So, at this point, the seed
Yes.
gives us the possibility.
It will mature.
Someday.
Right, it will happen one day. And towards the end of this, he starts talking about that point. He's saying, for those of us who are just such, don't know anything about anything, how can we do this? We actually can't. All we can do, and he'll use, this is another big theme that will come up a few stanzas below this, we can unlearn. We can't actually succeed in learning. That is beyond us. What would unlearning mean? Forgetting, and in the real sense.
Yeah.
That is to say, so part of that would be disillusioning, shedding illusions, and forgetting what we knew, so that the
Unwinding sanskara?
unwinding sanskaras. But the actual awakening can only happen by him. We can't find our way to his feet. So the steps to his feet is actually just undoing all the things we've done so that then he can plant the seed of light. That's the central metaphor of this book, actually, right at the beginning. But now he's going to explain what he means by the seed of man and the seed of light. He's going to explore that more. The first, that is the seed of man, is coupled with death. The second is the cause of mortality, right? The seed that produces new form, it's going to lead to death. And we saw that in book 3. As soon as you buy into these illusions, the illusions are going to be exposed as illusions and you're going to die. The dark wave is a figure he used back. Following the moon path is rebirth. Following the track of the sun, the wheel is broken. What wheel would that be?
Birth and rebirth.
Little birth and rebirth, yeah. Karma, the Buddhist wheel, yeah. Man is reborn in the deathless, never to return except as a perfect master. Now he has a lot of this kind of language here. Worshipping the gods of thy God, the gods of gadgets and guns. Okay, this is a critical take on gods, right? And, okay, here's the critique of polytheism. He's sort of echoing that. I mean, gods can also be understood in a positive way as they would be in Hinduism. I'm not talking about that. But anytime you want something, the thing you want is really a god, is it not? You're making, oh, I want that. Mm-hmm. You're forgetting everything else and putting that up as the thing you want. That's God, really. So all the things we want, all our stupid desires, gadgets and guns, right? You know, oh, I need a new iPhone, or I want to start a war, all of that. Those are all gods. Worshipping all of this, one is born again where the burden may be reassumed, where the fright and the frustration may again be enjoyed. Okay, if you want that, that's how you do it. Worshipping, so this is the one kind of worship, worshipping with surrenderance and love, the name and form of God, to God, one comes when it is the whim of the perfect master. Suffering birth again and again, and never learning that of ourselves our desires and hopes exist not, but arose out of nothing. Remember that everything and the nothing is a central theme of Stay With God. And Baba gave to Francis a message on that subject that is right at the start of the book. The 3 messages he gave, one is on the everything and the nothing. All of this arose out of nothing. Remember the description of the creation of the universe in book 3. And the nothing appearing out of the everything. Held loosely in everything's hand as a game for its knowledge, that it comes at long last to the condition of a perfect master. I'm going to jump a little bit. It'd be fun to go through all of this. These are very rich stuff. Now he's coming back here. There are 40 stanzas, and we're in the 7th stanza here. Is it the 7th or the 8th? I think it's the 7th. Yeah. He's coming back to the clearing of the ground. You know, when you're a farmer, you clear the ground, you get rid of the weeds, you plow it up and everything. Now he's going to explain more what that means. The clearing of the ground for the sowing, for the entering, is the unlearning of learning. For learning is your rubbish heap of conceit. He'll be kind of aggressive towards his readers sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
He'll go ahead and, thrash us.
Yeah.
And now he's going to go through the various means by which sanskaras can be destroyed. And he's going to go through 3 of the sanskaras in itself he represents as through the earth element. But he's going to go through fire, water, and air now. For this, in the first place, Prometheus Agni brought down the heavenly fire by order of the perfect master. Does anybody know who Prometheus?
Yeah, he was bound on the rocks, and the eagle came and plucked his innards every day.
For doing what?
And they grew back.
Taking fire.
Yeah, grew back
bringing
every day.
fire to man.
That's right. That's right. And he was punished for it. There's a great play by Aeschylus, Prometheus Bound.
Oh yeah.
And the poet Shelley wrote Prometheus Unbound, a famous figure in the West. And he's identifying Francis as Prometheus with Agni. You know who Agni is? God of fire, the Vedic god. A lot of the Vedic hymns are addressed to Agni. So Francis consistently identifies them, the Greek and the Hindu. He does that all over the place here. And Prometheus would be the one who brought it down by order of the perfect master, but apparently not by order of Zeus, according to the Greek.
Zeus punished
Zeus
him
did,
for it.
yeah, tortured him, yeah.
So they didn't consider Zeus a perfect master.
Yeah. But some mind impressions do not burn. And for these, Shiva brought down the waters of the Ganges. Remember that? First line of the poem. Wings towards the glaciers of Kailas, where the first fathers nourished the seed of God. And Shiva gentled Ganga. There are these themes he keeps hitting. It's almost like theme notes. And ding, hits it again. To drum them. To create on earth a reservoir of tears for lovers. Right? So there was the figure where the water of Ganges falls on Shiva's dreadlocks, right? That's the figure. And in the middle of the poem, he had where they flow on down the cheeks, his cheeks. And it's like the tears of Shiva or of the avatar out of love and compassion for humanity. That's Francis's development of his figure. But now that becomes the source, the cause of the tears of the lover of God. So that tear of longing and love for God is another way to get rid of your samskaras. Rivers, divine ocean bearing. What does that mean? What literally? Why are they divine? What happens to the Ganges after it falls in the earth?
Flows to the ocean.
Flows to the ocean, yeah. It carries with it everything that it has washed away. And the Ganges is the river of purification. So he's using that traditional association with Ganges here. You know, this is really very rich poetry, I would say. You can really study the phrases a lot, because there's a lot in them, according to the will of the perfect master. And some neither burn nor drowned, but must be strangled to death. Okay, the air element. This was the water element, we had the fire element, now the air element. Hence it is said, swallow thy breath every moment. And back at the end of the love song of John Carey, the very last, this I'm on page 63 for anyone who happens to have the book. It's cease, swallow thy breath every moment. And that's, I think, a quote from Rumi, as a matter of fact. So, I don't know, what does that mean? I have a little bit of a hard time myself exactly explaining it, although I kind of know what he means.
Well, it's like some yogis meditate on their breath.
Yes.
And I don't know, some that are able to maybe even hold their breath.
Yeah.
And I know there's some kind of experience.
Conquering your breath, yeah.
I'm not sure. So I just read something. I'm sorry, you were just fixing your glasses.
Yeah.
Well, breathing in and out is sort of like reincarnation too.
Yeah, it is.
So it's another way of sustaining the false self.
Yeah. Breath is often associated with life. So breathing in and out, living, dying. And you have to swallow it. You have to almost like swallow up your very life. That is the life of this false life of desires. Yeah.
The effective practice in yoga, and that they do by controlling their breath.
Yes.
And they are holding in different blocks in the body.
Yes.
chakras.
Yes.
They can go through the path, but of course, that is not going to happen without the practice.
Yeah.
It's a practice.
Yeah, I think there are some yogis you can bury long periods of time and they don't die, isn't that true?
It's called pratyahara when you draw
Yeah.
and senses.
Yeah.
It's the heart center. It's called the deathless state.
Yeah.
And they take them to be buried and
Yeah.
you can bring them back up and then they'll come back to it.
Yes.
Isn't that sort of what Brabazon did? That was
Yeah,
for 100 years.
Yeah, she was buried alive, in fact,
Yeah.
and she came back.
And she was still
So
alive.
conquering your own breath, or swallowing your own breath, or being a master of it. Yeah.
I think in this sense, it's another way of dying, of like the true
Yes.
of self, because he talks about burning in the sun, drowning in the Ganges, and
Yes.
then you must be strangled to death. So
Yeah,
it's another way to
asphyxiation.
end, and then it has
Yes.
to be the gift of the perfect master. So it
That's
has to
right.
be that you reach God realization, which is the ultimate death. So it's another form of it. So I would say it's more like a conscious practice to reach that goal.
Dying while living. But this is not possible unless by gift of divine love one is strangled for sight of him, the gift of the perfect master. Yeah.
In fact, once I asked Miss Fazio regarding his practice,
Yeah.
and he said, it doesn't hurt, but the path is in the path.
The path is what?
An inner path. Yeah.
But, yeah. It would appear you're playing with multiple senses, that idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, there are multiple ways to die.
He's going to develop that right here. To unlearn all one has learned. Okay, now he's reiterating that. The path to his feet means unlearning. That's basically what we can do. The actual seed is sown by the perfect master, but we can be receptive to it. A bitter swallowing. He likes to go into these, I don't know, this colorful language. A chasmal yawning before one's feet. A yawning, yawning. I think it was Whitman who talked about his barbaric yawp.
Yes.
Yeah, famous song. And he's quoting Whitman, I'm sure. A wide widdy. Do you know what a widdy is?
Well, like an Aussie saying,
No, I don't know it.
It's a noose. A noose. You're gonna swallow your breath every moment, right? To hang fat-necked conceit. That's why you need a wide widdy, because your neck is so fat. Go on.
Wow. Hold up that big head of yours.
So in other words, to do this is like hanging yourself. And that is impossible without the guidance of the perfect master. So I find these to be just these are like little aphorisms, although there's an organization to the whole
so is
thing.
he saying that there are those who try that? I mean, they're trying to.
Well, he's saying this is what you got to do, but it's impossible without a perfect master.
So
But there's no, you got to go through this. Yeah, sorry.
it's the best laid efforts of my simmering
Yeah.
sort of thing
Mhm.
amounts to not much.
Yeah.
Because in the
Yeah.
end it's an effortless
Yeah.
effort, it cancels itself out and
Mhm.
you get to the
Yeah. So I mean, Francis is like this.
striving.
You see the no bullshit thing here. He's saying if you want to get to the perfect master, this is actually what you got to do. And you can't do it on your own, as a matter of fact.
Even through all that effort.
Even through all that effort, yeah. So let me see, we're not going to have time to go through all of it. Yeah, he goes through a whole bunch of the different paths. One of them is like intellectual learning. That's, the futility of that. All written words are dead until you bring them to life. But the life you give them will be your own image of falseness, not truth. What does that mean anyway?
But we're pretty worthless and we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
There are limitations.
Yeah, it's sort of,
allow us to get to absolute reality.
Yeah.
Not here.
and when you read, like, I'm a swami, or a priest, or a imam, and I'm reading Holy Scripture, right? And I make it mean what I want it to mean, right? That's an example of this, yeah.
I've been, the understanding is that when we have an intellectual interpretation of something,
Right.
then you give life that
Yes.
without those words. When you live,
Yeah.
when you live in, you're giving life to those words. And then, at the end, it's just manifestation.
And the life I give to it is my own image of falseness. It's not true, it's not the truth in it, it's sort of what my own delusions make it into. Now, ain't that the truth? Baba said, and it always turns out Baba said what I want. Like Baba said, you know, what Baba would say, speaking for his own voice, want what I want. But we take that for ourselves. I want him to want what I want. That's what this is talking about.
You know, this reminds me, when I first got into Eastern philosophy in the 60s, my best friend did the Lao Tzu and also Buddha.
Yeah.
And sometimes he hear me espousing some truth that I found. He said, "Fred, shut up." He says, until you reach that realization, keep your mouth shut. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're reciting stuff from a book. I go, okay, Don, sorry.
Yeah.
But that's sort of like,
That's this, yeah. Yeah. Truth is contained only in the life-giving word of the perfect master. Written words aren't going to get you there. You need the life-giving word. It's like, you know, if Baba says something to me, a life-giving word, and I say, oh yes, well Baba, I think what you mean is this. Well, that's not going to get anywhere with Baba, right? But now, it is better to read than gossip. It is better to meditate than read. It is better to love than meditate. But since you are already trapped in the coils of mental convulsions, read the books of the saints, and God speaks by the perfect master. Okay, so since we're not in this line or that line, since we're on line one, and this is another theme in Stay With God, which I haven't really had the time to talk about, but he keeps talking about God speaks. He brings it, references it again and again and again. Here's another case of it. Now let's see. I'm going to jump a little bit. So much more. Yeah, now he talks about different paths you can follow. And here he starts now talking about illusions or false paths or mistakes, right? So he's the path to his feet. There's the moral law. There's renunciation. He has stanzas in each of those. Now he's talking about wrong tracks you can take. Pitiful the one who, because of a dream of an angel visiting him or Christ speaking, imagines he is on the path. You know, boy, I remember when I first came to Baba. Boy, was I advanced. And it's been downhill ever since. You know, you think it's so easy and so quick when you just start. Sunk in a stupor on the seashore, watching a ship passing, but not on its deck, the lovely person, the perfect master. Now here's the metaphor. You know, when you read poetry, one thing to sort of, when I was teaching poetry in college, the first thing I'd say is understand the literal sense of the metaphor. Don't worry about its meaning at first. Understand the literal sense. So here the literal sense is somebody who, an angel spoke to me. Well, I imagine I'm on a boat with Christ or Buddha as the captain. But actually, I'm on the seashore watching a ship out there. I'm not even on it. And it ain't Christ who's the captain of that ship. It's some other ship anyway. It's a total delusion. You get the metaphor? First of all, you're not even on the ship. And even if you were, it's not the right ship. So this is how deluded those people are who have, you know how it is. You have some sort of a fancy or some sort of a dream or something, and suddenly you think you're some great person spiritually. This is a big problem for spiritualism in that world. Now he's going to another danger. Pitiful the one who says, alone I will do it. He has not heard. The way is strewn with the bones of hundreds of thousands who thought thus. You can't do it on your own.
Was this a political permission here?
Do it.
Yeah. That's a big attitude now. A lot of people who reject the idea of a master. I want to do it myself. Well, you just don't know how impossible this path is. And here's another great thing. Will you be a lion? Come in under the shade of this palm tree. Even a lion under the heat of the sun can't do it. Whoever you are. Sayings of warning because of the compassion of the perfect master. You need the perfect master. Now I love it when Francis, some people don't like the side of Francis, but I enjoy it greatly. It's fun. Twaddling and twittering are they, snooking and snitting, hopping nervously, puss-purring and piddle-puddling. Isn't that great? We'll look at that in a second. This is these stupid people who somehow think that they can get somewhere and they have no idea how petty and trivial it is. While ranging the hills, his glorious mane, here's the real lion, right? His glorious mane sweeping the earth, and the roar of his throat gathering itself for the day of his lovely utterance. Baba's word, right? This is another reference to Baba's word. He's the Lion of God, Christ, perfect master. In the first day, we talked about his discussion of Christ, the lion and lamb, how Christ has been wimpified by acting as the lamb aspect, as though that's all there, but he is the lion too. So here he's bringing that figure up again. Do you know what twaddling is?
Oxy's saying.
Quit twaddling on, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, sort of stupid, blathering, trivial talk.
Yep.
And twittering, of course, now we have.
Oh my God.
Yes, this is the source of Twitter.
We should start a new communication link, twaddling instead of Twitter.
That's right. Just get rid of Twitter. Twaddle. I'm sick of twittering. I want to twaddle instead.
Don't say that to any Aussie. Oh, shut your twaddling up, mate.
Yeah. How about snooking? You know what that is? Sort of like, thumbing your nose. And snitting. It's like he's in a snit.
He's in a snit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean blowing your nose too. So twaddling and twittering are they, snooking and snitting, hopping nervously, see like a little bird, hopping nervously, puss-purring, meow, and piddle-puddling.
Oh.
Now he's used that before. It's like, you piss in the ground and make a little puddle of it. And you sort of muck around in your own, it's just your own urine, It's a very colorful description.
I think they use that in old boys that were pissing in the wind.
Piss it in the wind, yeah. Francis adds to that by it makes a puddle on the ground. And you muck around in it and you think, this is probably the ship that I'm going to sail in is a puddle there, right? Yeah.
It's really funny if you combine all those in a magic.
Yeah.
All of them in one.
It's very dense, the language. It's really, you can really spend a lot of time in one stanza unpacking all these things. So Francis would just thrash people verbally, for this stupid, contemptible version of what people think is spirituality.
Mr. T.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Nor follow the way of the rice Christians, ones in it for the handout, who reckon heaven a ready-built home on a lottery won allotment, and God a cow to be tethered on the back lawn for milking. Mean men who refuse the lovely song call of the perfect master. You join a cult, you join a sect, and you think, I've got it made, I'm among the saved, whereas you feel like, among the damned, just like that. But you're not in it for the sacrifice of yourself. Rice Christian, I think I think in China, some of the missionaries would give rice Somebody was explaining this. I hadn't seen the reference.
If you converted.
If you convert,
Oh,
you
yeah.
get rice. Yeah, rice
Yeah.
Christians.
Yeah, missionaries would do that.
Yeah.
Feed people who come to them, if they showed signs of wanting to convert to Christianity.
Right,
So
right.
some people would.
So I
That's
mean,
what happened in India as well.
yeah, with rice.
You know, I mean, it's-
Yeah.